Hi BookTube! Chelsea the Reading Outlaw here to do a library loop for you guys. It has been far too long since the last time I let you guys peek inside my library bag. I'm almost always bringing things to and from the library, so I thought I would take the time to show you guys what made it home with me this time. For those of you who've been following along with my Twitter or my Goodreads lately, you will know that I am in a really heavy nonfiction kick, so that's what a lot of these books are, is nonfiction, popular science, memoir, that kind of stuff. There are a couple of fiction things in there as well as a couple graphic novels, so let's dive on in. We'll start with the graphic novels. I have nothing brand new, but I have the continuation of two series I've been reading. The first one is Chew, Volume 11, The Last Suppers. I love Chew. I started reading Chew in 2015 after I heard about it over on, I believe it was Sam's channel, Sam from Novels and Nonsense. Chew is absolutely hilarious. Here is the cover. Here's kind of a little peek inside at some of the art. It's one of my favorite art styles. Very bright colors, very bold lines. Chew is about this guy right here, Tony Chew. He is a cibopath, and what that means is he is able to eat something and tell essentially its entire history. If it's a hamburger, he was able to see the cow and the farm the cow grew up on. If it's an apple, he was able to see the orchard it came from and all of that. And if it's a human, if it's human flesh, he's able to see where the human's history, the human's past, and how the human was murdered. And so he uses that very gross but also very hilarious power to help the FBI and the FDA solve crimes. It sounds really gross. There are parts of it that are kind of gross if you're a little squeamish, but it's not nearly as gross as it sounds. Mostly it's incredibly funny and incredibly heartwarming and incredibly punny. This is one of those graphic novels where you want to pay attention to the stuff that's going on in the background, the art style that's going on in the background. I absolutely love it. And because I haven't already said it, it's by John Layman and Rob Guillory. And then next up we have volume 4 of Nailbiter. Nailbiter is about a town called Buckaroo, Oregon that has had some 30 serial killers come from it in the last 30 years or something crazy. So it is a town that kind of breeds serial killers. So a member of the FBI kind of goes there to figure out what's happening after one of the most recent serial killers called the Nailbiter is released. And he's called the Nailbiter because he bites the nails off of his victims, which is super gross, or bites the fingers off of his victims. It's really gross. But I really love kind of crime and horror related graphic novels. Here is kind of a peek inside. It's a little bit more kind of almost classic comic booky than Chew is. A lot harsher lines, a lot more sharp angles, muted colors, but I am really looking forward to this. I thought the third volume was kind of a pretty big letdown. It was definitely a builder filler issue. So I'm hoping that volume 4 will get us back on track and will make good on some of the promises that came in volume 3. And then we have the fiction. I'm really excited for the fiction. The first one is The Best Horror of the Year, volume 7, edited by Ellen Datlow. I picked this up. It is not the most recent edition of Best Horror of the Year, which has come out the past, obviously, 7 years in a row. But I was reading Queers Destroy Horror, one of these special issues from Lightspeed, and they mentioned Ellen Datlow's name as being kind of the queen of horror. And when I did my library search, this is one of the books that came up. I also have volume 8, and it is on order and on the way to me as soon as it gets here. But I just wanted to pick this up because I love horror and I love short stories. I am really looking forward to getting into these short stories and hopefully creeping myself out a little bit. And then we have one that I just think is so adorable and so fun and so cool. I used to love choose your own adventure books. So as soon as I saw Romeo and or Juliet, A Choosable Path Adventure by Ryan North, I knew I had to pick it up. Ryan North is the writer behind Squirrel Girl, one of my graphic novel that I've been reading and loving that I would definitely recommend that you check out. But here is the cover, and there are several illustrations throughout the book. Each one is done by a different artist, so there are also several graphic contributors. But as you can see, I'm trying to find a good page to kind of demonstrate. As you can see, it is literally a choose your own adventure, and you can play as Romeo or as Juliet, or you can play as the nurse. This is one of those books that I'm not exactly sitting down and just reading all the way through from beginning to end, but I'm having a lot of fun kind of taking my time, picking it up when I'm in a little bit of a lull and doing a couple of the options. Right now, I'm doing my read through as Juliet, which is awesome because Juliet is in this version a very athletically powerful female. She loves to work out. She loves to lift weights. She's incredibly physically strong. And it's just really funny and really clever. It's really punny and I'm really, really enjoying it. So I will let you know how I get along with it. This one might be a little bit of an interesting one to review because I'm not entirely sure how you get to the end of a choose your own adventure book. I used to just cheat all the time. So we will see how that ends up working out. Let me know down below if you've seen this or if you've picked it up yet. And then we have all the nonfiction. So much nonfiction coming your way, guys. The first one is Sex Object, a Memoir by Jessica Valenti. I have heard this has been recommended to me personally by Joss from Scribbles Reads, and I've also heard quite a bit about it on the Book Riot recommendation channel, so all the books and get booked. This is exactly what it sounds like. It's a memoir from Jessica Valenti in which she talks about her sexual history and some of the sexual decisions that she's made throughout her life. It's one of those really good books that challenges our idea of what a good decision is or a bad decision is, or how we as a society kind of sexualize and view women as objects and thus make judgment values about the decisions that they make. It's messy, it's difficult, but ultimately incredibly resonating to sit with, or at least that's what I've heard. The next up, we have a book that I just found when I was browsing across my new release shelves at the library. That is The Lynching, the Epic Courtroom Battle That Brought Down the Klan by Lawrence Lamer, which is essentially exactly what it sounds like. It is about a lynching case in which we went all the way to the Supreme Court and challenged the Klan's right to free speech and hate speech and kind of delineated some of those issues and concerns. It's a bigger one. There are luckily lots and lots and lots of footnotes at the end, which, as you guys will know, is one of my favorite things as a lapsed academic. So this is one that I'm thinking will be incredibly powerful, but also incredibly enlightening, especially given the last couple of years of race relations in this country. Then we have another book that kind of deals with courtroom, military, legal-y type stuff, and that is, of course, Grunt by Mary Roach. This you will have most likely seen over on Rachel Colinati's channel. She has read it recently and did a really good job talking about it. For those of you who don't know, Mary Roach is essentially the queen of nonfiction deep dives. She has several books, Stiff, Gulp, Packing for Mars, in which she looks at a very, very specific topic and goes really, really deep into the various aspects of that topic. From what I hear, this one is a little bit more broad. She is literally talking about the curious science of humans at war. And I've been reassured by Rachel that this is not about like weapons tech or improving war technologies in terms of like making bigger guns that can kill more people, but rather it deals with like the physical aspects of amputation trauma or the mental aspects of PTSD, how we deal with some of those things. There's a chapter in here about life on a submarine that I'm really looking forward to because I always thought life on a submarine sounded incredibly awful and claustrophobic. So I'm really, really excited to pick this one up. It's not very long. Mary Roach is the queen of footnotes. So she has footnotes scattered all throughout her book, and I love footnotes even more than I love endnotes. Endnotes, please don't be a thing. I don't understand. If you're going to have endnotes, have them at the end of the chapter or the section. Don't have them all the way at the back of the book. Flipping through the book is basically a nightmare. That's my little rant about endnotes v footnotes. But this promises to be one that goes a little bit broader than some of her other books. And I'm not super well versed on military science-y type things because that's just not really my jam. But if Mary Roach is going to write a book about it, I am absolutely going to pick it up. And then we have two more that I have brought home, one of which I know nothing about. I just picked it up off the shelves, and it's called The Maximum Security Book Club, Reading Literature in a Men's Prison by Makita Brotman. As you can probably guess, as a librarian, I think it's incredibly interesting to look at various aspects of reading and reading culture in a variety of contexts. I also think that there are not a lot of books out there about reading in prison in general, specifically reading in a men's prison. So this, I think, will be an incredibly interesting and enlightening and hopefully heartfelt look about the power literature has inside a men's prison, in addition to getting into some of the more technical aspects of how prisons acquire books, what kind of books are allowed. I know each state and even each prison has different rules in terms of what books can be sent and how they can be sent there. When I used to work at Barnes & Noble, we always had a special part of training that went over people who wanted to send books to their incarcerated family members. So we had to have each like local prisons and like nearby federal prisons rules and regulations. So I am not entirely sure how this one's going to pan out, but I'm hoping it's more uplifting than not, and I will definitely keep you guys posted. And the last one is probably the piece of nonfiction that I'm most excited about. I heard about this over on Amanda Center's channel and immediately went and put it on hold at my library because it is just so the center of my wheelhouse of things that I find fascinating. And that is Dr. Mooter's Marvels by Christian O'Keefe Apowitz. This is a nonfiction book about Dr. Mooter, and I'm just going to read you guys the inside flat because it sounds so good. In Dr. Mooter's Marvels, Christian O'Keefe Apowitz chronicles the remarkable life of Dr. Thomas Dent Mooter, a dazzling young American surgeon who was so flamboyant and audacious that he wore colorful silk suits to perform surgery, embellished his last name with an umlaut, and was described as the P.T. Barnum of the surgery room. From Mooter's child as an orphan in the antebellum South and his years spent studying radically avant-garde plastic surgery in Paris, to his struggles to establish himself in the medical mecca of Philadelphia and the tumultuous rivalries among his fellow doctors, many of whom publicly mocked Mooter's philosophies and procedures, Dr. Mooter's Marvels delves deep into the life and career of a man who is truly ahead of his time. And this came about originally because the author Christine O'Keefe Apowitz lives in Philadelphia and went to the Mooter Museum, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a collection of papers, photographs, documents, tools, all of those things from Dr. Mooter, who came of age in the time when surgery was performed largely without anesthetizing the patient. So it promises to be creepy and dark and maudlin, and it's science history, which is one of my absolutely favorite things. It reminds me a lot, just from the sound of it, of the early chapters of The Emperor of All Maladies, which is a biography of cancer, in which Siddhartha Mukherjee talks about the early, like 1800s forms of treating cancer, which were incredibly brutal, and this promises to be right up that alley. So thank you, Amanda, for putting it on your channel and recommending it, and I am incredibly excited to get to it. And that about wraps it up, folks. That is all the books that I have, fiction and nonfiction, coming out of the library these days. Please let me know down below if you've read any of these, if you want to read any of these. If you have questions, comments, concerns, if you want to see more of these videos, I can always do more frequent, shorter updates because, like I said, always bringing stuff in and out of the library. But yeah, let me know down below how you're doing, what you're reading, what's going on in your life. You can always hit me up on Goodreads, Instagram, Twitter. I am all over social media, and I'm always here to talk about books with you guys. All right. Love you, everyone.